All right. So I apologize for that taking so long. Although I guess you guys weren't necessarily aware of it ahead of time. But now I'm doing this with my laptop, so hopefully you guys are still able to see. Sorry guys, my desk is a mess. Um I recently did a mixed coin hunt and right after I did the hunt I had to get going pretty quickly for another reason. So I was and for that reason I was detained on cleaning up. I am going to turn on some more light. So again, doing it on the laptop, it's hard to see. But hopefully it's still okay. Um, no, hold on, let me see something. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, I'm testing that. I'm testing something because I want to see if I'm able to watch videos on the laptop while I'm also doing a live stream, and it looks like I can, so that's good. Um, I just can't listen to any music, right? I guess in theory I could put my uh, I guess in theory I could put my headphones on, but all right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm first gonna tell you what I'm doing. So I usually whenever I do live streams, I only do them. Well, I only do them if on my coin channel if I have coins that I don't necessarily think I'm gonna get anything in, and I don't, and if I get coins that I don't think are necessarily worth it to like set up the camera. Um, and I got a box of nickels like this, and a box of pennies that have similar wrappers, except all the wrappers are like this. Now, the tellers swear that they're not from coin collectors, but I still don't know. I'm still not quite sure about it, so I'm going to hunt them on this video and see if they really are or not. And if I do end up getting into some good finds, I probably will start a video, but it really depends. Huh. Look at that, guys. First roll, and I say that, and I get a 1940s. 1949 Denver. Holy cow. Well, who knows? I mean, once again, I don't want to get too overexcited because um a lot of people who hunt don't keep their 40s and 50s, even though I do. That one kind of has a gold tone. It's not really worth keeping though. So yeah, who knows? Who knows though? Because the tellers did not think they were searched, and usually when they tell me, I'm just gonna use nickels from another hunt that I have sitting here to fill it back up. So usually when they say that they don't get coins that aren't searched, I trust them. So we'll see. But we got a 49D in the first roll, so who knows? Who knows? All right, I'm gonna play my video. 1957, 1957, Denver. 1941, 1941, Philadelphia. Oh, guys, look, 1939. Alright, hold on, okay, because I got a 1939, I'm gonna film this little other clip. Hold on. Alright, guys, so I'm starting this again because I decided to hunt the nickels first, as I mentioned, and I actually had gotten a few finds in the first few rolls. I had gotten a 1957 D, actually a couple in the 40s, 1949 D, and 1941 Philadelphia. But and in the same roll, I got there's a 56 here as well. I just noticed that 56 Philly, but I got a 1939 in this roll, and I feel like most coin collectors would pull that out. It's just a Philly, but I'm only doing this little clip just in case we do get something in here. So let's see. But that's already kind of cool. Well, for expecting to really not get anything, that was sure as heck awesome. There's another there's another oldie. I totally missed this. 1959 Denver. Wow, there were four finds in that roll. Sorry guys, I was eating something. Don't judge me, I haven't eaten until now. It's almost 1 PM. Oh, there's a 1949 Ender. Oh, guys, and it's a 49S. Alright, I'm gonna film again. Alright, I'm filming again because we got another good find. In one of the previous rolls, there was a 59D, but on the end, as an ender, we got a semi-key date, 1949S. And I guess maybe if someone hunted this, they might not know about semi-key dates, but I feel like most do. So that's a pretty good find. And let's just check because I've had a couple other finds that have snuck up on me that I haven't noticed. Mm, of course, all the ones I'm looking at now are 64s. All right, let's keep going. Maybe we will get some stuff in here. Hold on, guys. Alright, guys, I got at least a couple more finds in this roll. I see a 1942 peeking out. It does not look silver. Huh? I don't know. Wait, hold on. No, it doesn't look silver. It is a 42D though, and that's actually a better date, so that's kind of neat. Put that up there. This one looks kind of old. 46, 46 Philly, and this one has an S. Oh, and that's another semi-key date. I did not expect that. Another semi-key date, guys. 1951S. Awesome. Holy cow, guys. I expected like nothing out of this hunt, and we are getting tons and tons of finds. Holy cow, what else will we get? We're only 7 rolls in. Maybe these are not searched. Glad that I got them. Right, well, this is something that I'm not sure if has happened to me before. I'm on roll 10, and I got two semi-key dates in one roll. This one was sitting reverse like that. Saw it was a San Francisco, another 1949, and I saw this in 1951. I bet you can guess where it's going, 51S. So, I guess it's possible that this box was hunted and whoever hunted just, strictly cared about silver and buffaloes. Who knows? But either way, I expected nothing. So I'm happy that and maybe this means I should put a little more trust in the tellers because they clearly know what they're talking about. So let's keep going. Not to mention, we're only 10 rolls in, and obviously it's, for a box, it's not, even a bank sealed box, it's not uncommon to not get a buffalo or silver in the first 10 rolls. So that's something else to keep in mind. This this part of the box is. Oh man, I thought that was a buffalo for a second. This box. I need this open because I want to be able to grab the rolls, but it's hold on, I'm gonna do some adjusting, guys. I'm sorry. Now maybe there's not gonna be so much light hidden. I got another 51S, 48p. I think I'm gonna set these aside, and then if I start finding a bunch of them, they'll know 2024s. Mm, this one has a crazy look to it. 1947, Philly. Hey, when I drop coins, just I need another box to put these in. Well, maybe not a box, it's a container. I gotta mark them. Oh, guys, we got a 1938. Hold on. All right. Well, I'm starting to get the impression that these nickel rolls are definitely not searched because I've found a few more finds, and typically I'd bring you in for another 51S semi-keyed 8, but I had set it aside only because I wasn't sure if I was going to get a bunch of them. I had also gotten a few more 40s along the way. 47 Philly. Let me just organize them real quick here. 41, 42, 41, 42, 46, 47. And we also have another new year in the 40s, 1948, Philly. I actually thought it would be an S considering the other finds we got. But we got two finds in this roll, the lesser of which, 56, D. Sorry, guys. And then look at this, guys. We got a first year Jefferson. Will it have a mint mark? No. 38 Philadelphia. But that is a first year Jefferson nickel, and I don't find these too often. So I will take it. That is awesome. And I don't know, for some reason I like finding these just as much as when I find like silver. I don't know why, but for some reason finding the 38s is just cool for me. So I will take it. Let's keep going. Where did I put my phone? Where did I put my phone? There we go. Another 1938. Okay, hold on. All right. Well, man, very next roll. And look at that. Another 1938. Another Philly. But that is two 1938 Jefferson Nichols. And I don't know if that's actually I don't know if that's ever happened. I don't know if I've ever found more than one in a hunt before. That one looks old. 1939. Holy cow, 1939 Philly. Second one of those. Wow, that's a really nice 1961. So that's to the side. Any others in here? I don't see any, but holy cow, guys, that is crazy. Well, this is a great hunt. 1954, Philly. Alright, hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. 1941, San Francisco. 1952, Philly. Oh, another semi 49S. As usual. 1949. Another San Francisco. 1940, Philly. What? Another 1938. Trooper. Do 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 do. For all those Iron Maiden fans out there. So stupid. Uh, good. Wow, we're still not having any silver buffaloes, but I'm still very happy with 1958. Philly in pretty good shape. 1941D. I'm gonna find some semi-key dates. I want to find a 1955 semi-key date because those are the ones that I don't find. The 55s and 1949, but this one's actually a Philly. But because the 49 S's and 48 S's and 51 S's, I actually find a decent amount. Although I am glad that I'm finding the 49s and 51 S's because the 48s I find a lot. They're like, oh, 1940 Philly, 1957 D. Hold on, guys. Another 1949. Another San Francisco. Keep 1940, Philly. Jesus. There's another 1939, 1942, D again, 39 Philly, 1946 Philly, 1959 Denver, 1954, 54D, Are you guys also extremely annoyed by these pie ads like I am? Ugh, hate them. 44, 3 more rolls. 55. Oh, it's a Denver, though. All these semi-key dates, and the 155 is a Denver. 'Crap, come on. Mm, right. Do another little bit of filming. Alright, now I finished that, $100 in nickels, and I will say I did get a few more good finds, but I decided to finish the box because I was also hunting the pennies too, and because the nickels did provide stuff, and I was hunting another box in case the pennies produced a lot of finds, I wanted to go kind of quickly, but I added a lot more finds to the board. I have a few that are more special that I set aside, but I've continuously added to the board here. Like I've gotten, think another from 59, one actually decent condition 58p. Um, I got my it's kind of funny. I've gotten so many semi-key dates, and the one 1955 we get is a Denver, of course. But I guess that's not too unexpected. I think there's like one. I got one more 54, maybe one another 49, another 46. I know we got another 42D, which was kind of cool right there. And had gotten three from 1940 as well. Maybe another from 41. We also added a few nicer Jefferson nickels from 61 and 62. This one we had gotten earlier in the box as well. It's a very odd tone 76. It's strange. It looks dirty, but it almost looks like it's been polished on top of that dirt. I'm not sure what's going on with it. The fields have a very strange texture, so I'm gonna hold on to it just in case it is something cool. It ends up being something cool. But these are the other ones that I set aside. We have 3 more 1949 semi-key dates. So this one has some gunk on it, but this is definitely the most 49 S's I have found in one hunt. There's got 5 of them in total, as well as 3 from 51. And another cool thing, we got one more 1938. Again, another Philly. So no key dates in this hunt, despite getting 3 nickels from 1938 and 3 from 1939. But I will take it, and I especially like finding the 38s because I don't see them too often. And none of the 39s had any doubling. But honestly, if I'm going to choose between getting 1 silver and 3 1938 nickels, 3 1939 nickels, and a total of 8 semi-key dates, I'd take that over silver. So maybe not a buffalo, but I mean, I found 3 silver nickels in my last coin roll hunt I did. So honestly, I'm really happy with this hunt, especially considering the fact that I didn't expect much of anything out of these rolls. So the only concern I have with the pennies is these are in different wrappers. So who knows if they're from a different person? When I got into the bank, it seemed like they were from a different person, but I'm not sure. I do know there's going to be some copper in here. So I guess in theory, if these were just didn't produce anything, I could have shown the finds a little more in a little more specific. But I'm gonna get into these and see if I can find any Wheaties in there, and I'll let you know of any finds. All right, now let's do these. I'm just gonna be dumping these because I'm pulling out the copper. I'll roll them later. Maybe some of them will turn into Coinstar. Well, I was hoping I'd find like a few wheat cents right away, like I did old Jeffersons with the nickels, but I guess wheat cents just aren't as common to find. It seems like that's kind of generally what's been noticed is like for me, I consider finding a wheat cent to be more rare than finding an older Jefferson nickel because wheat cents are more collected than older Jefferson nickels. So I think people are able to pull that out more, you know? Even if we don't get anything in here, I'm still happy with those nickels. Uh, Or Canadian. I guess I coulda had another jar that has a bunch of loose pennies in it. I guess I coulda put them in there. Hold on, guys. I was watching a video and that made me think of something. Ads. Ads as always. Sorry, Pickard. Righteousness. Oh, oh. What? What? Parallels. Now, people who structure work Israelis. Structure. Sorry, guys, I'm uploading other little videos for other channels while I'm sitting here. Well, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to find any wheats in here. So these may actually have been hunted. So you know what's funny about hold on, I'm watching a video where I'm actually like wanting to listen to it, so I need to pause when I'm talking. Um, but you know what's kind of why I'm glad I picked the nickels up is because initially, I only picked up the pennies, and my thought originally was, okay, I'm gonna hunt the pennies, and if they're not good, I'm not gonna pick up the nickels. But I decided, when I had time to hunt the pennies, I was starting to lose time, and so I decided to just bite the bullet and get the nickels anyway, especially because I was going along with my family for something else anyway. So I was like, why not go and buy the box? Well, why not go and get the coins while I'm out? So I'm glad I did because if I had to hunt the pennies first, I might not have gotten this nickel box. Oh, Mom, did you send that text a while ago? I just got it now. You're not gonna get me, but you're not gonna get me with you saying that word. Oh, crap. Box is about to fall. I thought Ozempic was being investigated. Maybe I shouldn't watch that yet because I want to watch that episode. Subtleties. Hold on, guys. Right. Oops. All right, I'm going to end it here in a minute. I've been going for a while, um, but I want to. So, unfortunately, there were no Wheaties in that box, but all right. Probably one little more clip and then I'll end it. Oh, well, I guess I should set up the nickels as well. 1938, 1939s, 40, 41, 42, 46, 47. I'm trying to sort these out so that way when I do the wrap up, I can wrap up both boxes at the same time. That's something I'm late here. All right. All right, guys. So, unfortunately, as you can see, I have the box of pennies right here, which is probably a sign. Unfortunately, there were no Wheaties in that box, and I would say I do think that this box was searched. Um, Mainly because, not everyone who hunts pennies pulls out their copper. And for a while, I didn't pull out my copper either. I only recently started pulling out my copper because there were talks about, the pennies, not being in circulation. And I wasn't sure how much time I would have because I was, assuming at some point that I would start keeping my copper. But I thought I had more time than I did. So, but even still, not all hunters keep all their copper. So that doesn't necessarily mean that having copper doesn't necessarily mean that these weren't searched. And I even got a few Canadians, which I didn't show because I find Canadian pennies quite often. But and this honestly, I get so many Canadian pennies in my area. It's honestly pretty common. And a couple times I have encountered situations where I've gotten hunted coins and there has been no copper whatsoever, or has been no Canadian pennies whatsoever. But most of the time, a lot of the time, they leave the Canadian coins when in theory you're really supposed to be pulling them out. Um, we got a 74, two from 76, 79, 81, 85, and 95. So nothing super old either. And again, no Wheaties, which is obviously the main thing because I definitely think there is no way that these were not searched, but just didn't have any wheat pennies in them. And I would, you know, I would believe if I didn't get any wheat pennies in a $25 batch of pennies and I would believe that they weren't searched if it was some sort of copper dump, because I've noticed often when I get copper dumps, a lot of times there's not wheat pennies with them, and it's just someone's copper. But this wasn't really a copper dump. This was about how much copper I'd get in a box of pennies. So I would definitely say that these were searched. A couple other the other finds I got: a nicer 2009, three nicer coppers, a really nice 59. It doesn't happen too much, and a couple from 74. And then this kind of strange 82. It's very like it's got a strange texture, and the strange thing is it's in great condition, but the fields are very, very worn. So I'm not sure what's up with that. And then a couple ones that I thought kind of had some crazy toning. Speaking of toning in the nickels, and I am going to make this a video because I definitely did not expect the coins that we got in the nickels. Even though we didn't get any silver buffaloes proofs, that's definitely worth an upload as a video. But speaking of toning, I got that odd one that I showed you. And speaking of nicer coins, I got three early 60s Jeffersons that are in great shape that I'll put into my rolls that I have. And then going towards some of the more regular finds, I guess you could say, two from 59, one from 58. That's Philadelphia. It's a lower mint and it's in pretty good shape. There are a couple other ones in this section here that are notable, like that 58, two from 57, two from 56, one from 55, two from 54, one from 52, and then the 40s. And this is not including any of the semi-key dates or 30s. At least not until I get to them. Two 49s, one's a Philly, one's a Denver. 148 Philly, 47 Philly, two 46s. I think one of them might have been a Denver. The other notable thing, 242 Denvers, and I believe those only have about 15 million minted. So those are actually quite a bit lower mintage. In fact, they're almost close to the mintage of the 48S. So one could consider them a semi-key date. Three from 41, and I think two or three from 1940. And then, as far as the semi-key dates, probably again, yeah. And this is the one thing that makes it cool. This is probably one of the most unique nickel hunts I've ever had because I've never gotten a nickel hunt where I've had 8 semi-key dates in one hunt. I've got 5 from 1949, obviously semi-key dates being 1949S, and then I think 3 from 1951, obviously 51S's, and these only have about 7 million. So in a way, you could consider these a key date because, like for example, the 1939S has 6 million, and this is only just a little bit higher than that. So you could say those are key dates, but I still consider them semi-key dates. And then as far as the 30s nickels, we got 3 from 1939. No mint marks, no mint marks, and that's true with all of them. No mint marks, no doubling on the back of those 39s, and 3 from 38, which is definitely something that has never happened to me. Um, yeah, something that I'm super excited about because I love finding the 38s. I don't find them too much. So even though the pennies were a bust, the nickels certainly were not. So this was a very, very interesting hunt, and I'm happy that I purchased the nickels and didn't just say, I don't really, these pennies weren't great, so I don't need to buy them. So, because I mean, honestly, if I'd have just bought the pennies, I wouldn't be this footage wouldn't be shown right now. So anyway, um, and this is also kind of a lesson too. I mean, sometimes when you have a bank that, calls you up and or, when you're in there and they tell you, "Hey, we got some boxes of coins," and you're unsure if they're searched or not, if you're able to, buy them when you can because, you never know when you're gonna get interesting scores like this. So, anyway, I have talked long enough. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Whew, finally done. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's like when you strike down in one denomination, you win in the other. The pennies were definitely searched. I mean, and I guess the only real win in the pennies is we got some copper to add to the stack, and a few more nice coins for the collection. But it's funny, when the pennies didn't provide, the nickels sure as hell did. 338 first year Jeffersons, 339 second year Jeffersons, 8 semi-keyed 8 coins, and a lot of fines despite um a lot of fines despite, them being, it being questionable whether, these were searched or not. And to me, I would say that this box probably wasn't searched. Um, because I mean, the tellers didn't indicate to me that they were searched. And usually, even though the tellers at this bank, because I've been going to this is my most local bank. And so, and I've been, going to this bank for years. And even though that 99% of the tellers there are pretty much brand new, not completely brand new. I mean, they've been there for at least a month or two. So I've gotten to know them a little bit and they've gotten to know me a little bit, and it's helped a lot. So I trust them when, they say, "Oh, these, I don't think these coins are searched." And well, it looks like they probably were not correct with the pennies because these definitely appear to be searched. I mean, you wouldn't have an entire box of $25 in pennies and have absolutely no Wheaties and have it, be unsearched. These were definitely searched. Um, as I said, even despite with the Canadians, that doesn't necessarily say, oh, these are not. Um, but and I guess in theory, you could say that a hunter who was really, really, really specific about what they pulled out, like, they strictly only pulled out silver and strictly only pulled out buffaloes and proofs and things that were obvious, there's a chance that maybe these coins were still hunted, and the searcher only just, only pulled the coins out when they saw a buffalo or a silver or a proof, because those are pretty easy to spot. Not something like key dates or older dates, necessarily aren't as easy to spot. And who knows, maybe they were just looking too fast. So yeah, so who knows? Because in a way, I'm inclined to say that these were searched and the person just pulled out, because it still seems unusual to me how, why a non-coin collector would have $100 in nickels. And, my first thought was, maybe it's from a business because, I mean, the Garda trucks, the Brinks trucks, they do bring entire boxes. I mean, I presume, right? I mean, I don't know that for sure, but it's possible that the business just, although I guess I'm trying to think about it because I don't know why a business would return $100 worth of nickels that were already wrapped up in other wrappers, because you would think that business had gotten an entire box of nickels from one of these Garda trucks, you would that they wouldn't have any nickels at the end of their use, right? You think that all the nickels would be distributed amongst customers. So you wonder, why would a business have an entire box of nickels if they were, to give us change? Um and if they did need to return the box for some reason, why didn't they just leave it in the bank wrapped wrappers? So I don't know. I'm honestly kind of inclined to say that these were searched, but that just I think maybe the coin collector just really was picky about what they kept. You know what? That's actually a good idea for a short. I should film that real quick. Hold on. That's actually a really good idea for a short. Hold on. What? I just I uploaded a short to my other channel, and I realized that it was upside down. Sorry about that. Or I'm gonna film that because that's actually a good idea for a. Okay, hold on, guys. There's something I want to check. I made a post recently about those YouTube comments that you see where commenting, like, on a video of someone talking about a coin that they found, and they just comment something like, "Value," or "Value, please," when they clearly have access to the internet, but just like, why don't you use Google? You clearly have the internet accessible, and I had made a post about that. Anyway, so I have kind of an interesting dilemma here. This video is gonna be quite a spoiler because I have been filming videos way in advance, and the footage of this hunt and these finds in more depth is probably going to be upwards of a month in advance. So this is going to be quite a spoiler. But it's something that I wanted to ask because I just wasn't sure about this situation. So, to give you a little backstory, when I was at my local Chase, they told me that they had gotten a box of nickels and a box of pennies, and I presume they're from different people. I'm gonna just assume for now that they're from different people because and the tellers told me that they didn't research, and I had hunted the pennies, and it turns out that I think the pennies were searched because there were no Wheaties. There was still copper, and there were some Canadian coins, but that's not uncommon for people in my area. So the pennies were definitely searched, but the nickels, I'm not so sure. And I'm torn about it because I was thinking about it, and I was like, because the teller was saying that, "Oh, it's likely they're from a business, right?" But I was thinking about it because the nickels they came in a nickel box, right? And they all came like that in the box. And I was wondering, like, why would these come from a business, right? If a business was going to return an entire box of nickels, you would think they would just, they maybe didn't need it and just returned it and, left it in the machine wrapped wrappers. But you would think if they had gotten an entire box from the Garda truck, you would think that they wouldn't have the nickels anymore, right? You'd think that they'd, distribute them to a business. And which makes me more inclined to say that these, it's because, it's still possible these are from a coin raw hunter. And just to give you a little, I don't want to spoil too much, but there were 6 nickels in the 30s. There were 8 semi-keyed 8s, which is definitely not normal, but still, it's still completely possible that someone who hunted coins was just extremely, extremely picky and only kept out the buffaloes and the silvers and the proofs because those were the thing, those are the easiest things to spot, right? Or maybe it's possible that they were just looking too fast. I don't know, but I'm curious, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you think that, these nickels that came like this, do you think that this was just a coin collector that was picky about what they kept? Or do you think that this was from a business or maybe from another person somehow? It seems weird that, any regular person would just have $100 in nickels on them unless they were a hunter. So let me know what you think, guys. I'm leaning towards that these are hunted, but let me know. It's kind of a question I wanted to ask. I'm reviewing the footage. Sorry, guys. Because I have been filming videos way in advance, and the footage of this hunt and these finds in more depth is probably going to be upwards of a month in advance. So this is going to be quite a spoiler. But it's just to give you a little backstory. When I was at my local shape, they had gone. I'm gonna put the other copper from my other hunt in here. And I and and it turns out that I think the pennies were certain, and they were common for the area. Pennies, and I'm torn about it. Because I was thinking about it. I was like, because the color was saying, oh, it's likely that they're from a business, right? But I was thinking about it because the nickels came, they came in the nickel box, right? And they all came like that in the box. And I was wondering, like, why would these come from a business, right? if a business was going to return an entire box of nickels, you would think they would just, they maybe didn't put it and just returned it, left it in the machine wrappers. But you would think if you had got the entire box from the Garda truck, you would think that they wouldn't have the nickels anymore, right? You think that they, distribute them to a business. And which makes me more inclined to say that these, it's because, it's still possible these are from a coin roll hunter. And just to give you a little, I don't want to spoil too much, but for six nickels in the 30s, there were eight semi-keyed eights, which is definitely not normal, but still, it's still completely possible that someone who hunted coins was just extremely, extremely picky and only kept out the buffaloes and the silvers and the proofs because those are the things, those are the easiest things to spot, right? Or maybe it's possible we're just looking too fast. I don't know, but I'm curious, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you think that these nickels that came like this? Do you think that this was just a coin collector that was picky about what they kept, or do you think that this was from a business or maybe from another person somehow? It seems weird that any regular person would just have $100 nickels on them unless they were a hunter. So let me know what you think, guys. I'm leaning towards that these are hunted, but let me know. So I have kind of an interesting. It restarted. Hold on. This video is going to be quite a spoiler because I have been filming videos way in advance, and the footage of this hunt and these finds in more depth is probably going to be upwards of a month in advance. So this is going to be quite a spoiler. But it's something that I wanted to ask because I just wasn't sure about the situation. So, to give you a little backstory, when I was at my local Chase, they told me that they had gotten some a box of pickles and a box of peas. And I presume they're from different people. I'm gonna just assume for now that they're from peas because and the tellers told me that they didn't think they were searched. And I had hunted the pennies, and it turns out that I think the pennies were searched because there was no Wheaties. There was still copper, and there were some Canadian coins, but that's not uncommon for people in my area. So the pennies were definitely searched, but the nickels, I'm not so sure. And I'm torn about it because I was thinking about it, and I was like, because the teller was saying that, oh, it's likely because they're from a business, right? But I was thinking about it because the nickels came, they came in a nickel box, right? And they all came like that box. And I was wondering, like, why would these come from a business, right? If a business was going to return an entire box of nickels, you would think they would just, they maybe didn't eat it and just returned it and, left it in the machine wrappers. But you would think if they had gotten an entire box from the Garda truck, you would think that they wouldn't have the nickels anymore, right? You think that they, distribute them to a business. And which makes me more inclined to say that these, because, it's still possible these are coin wrong. Just to give you a little, I don't want to spoil too much, but there were six nickels in the 30s. There were eight semi-heats, which is definitely not normal, but still, it's still completely possible that someone who hunted coins was just extremely, extremely picky and only kept out the buffaloes Alright, I'm gonna end it.